news report I did, I had highlighted how some party apparatchiks had maneuvered their way through, to work as if they have all the necessary, approval and then the documentations to work. Because apart from the Offin shelter bed where this incident happened, there were similar operations being carried out by this same company or their assigns in the Jimira, Senayo, and Tano Offin forest reserve. So that is what I mean by the biggest illegal mining enterprise. It is also the biggest because it is the only enterprise that you see a lot of the players coming from almost every facet of our, daily lives. You see mention of military men, mention of local politicians, can make mention of our traditional authorities. You can also make mention of mainstream politicians.
So, Ohemeng, if I may ask, do you have
benefiting from?
Ohemeng, if you can hear me, you're talking about military persons. You're talking about politicians. You're talking about traditional rulers. Do we have names that we can identify, to be part of these things?
Yes, and then we also have foreign collaborators as well, David.
When it comes to the politicians, local politicians, people who are from government, the previous government, can you give us names of persons you believe are?
Because, as I mentioned, all these people, when I went into the story, I identify almost everybody who has a key role or play key role in this story. So at the back of my mind, even when we went there with the police team, I questioned, or I told the policeman, are you sure you have the numbers to for this operation? And they said, when the situation becomes, difficult, they'll call reinforcement. And I said, okay, because me as a journalist going to the ground to work, I had seen how dangerous these people could be. And indeed, when I spoke to Forestry Commission officials, they did tell me the same sentiment that they shared, that they cannot even go there with their rapid response team, which is a team specially trained to tackle these Galamsey menace. They are armed, to work towards this line. So if their rapid response team cannot go there to tackle or to sort of flush these people out, it tells you the kind of people they are, and they describe them as thugs. So David, at the back of my mind, I knew all these players when I went in there. So when we got to the site and continued to where we entered the last point of the site, where fresh trenches have been dug, and you could see gold washers were on. They were working. They have been switched on, and they were washing, a heap of sand that have been prepared for washing. And then we also saw water pumping machines. They were all on, meaning that at the time we went in, it was a brisk day for these illegal miners because they were washing.
Ohemeng, indulge me. Hold the line for me.
All left.
Hold the line for me, Ohemeng. What I want to do right now is this. If you just joined us, you're listening to Ohemeng Tawiah. He's an assistant news editor with the Multimedia Group. He's been assaulted by Galamsey operators, and he's narrating his ordeal with us. Now, if you join us on Facebook right now on Love in the Morning, please take time and join us on Facebook on Love in the Morning and see for yourself the beatings he received. See for yourself the injuries he incurred. See for yourself the activities of these operators. It's on Facebook right now. Love in the Morning. Just go on Facebook, search for Love in the Morning, and when you do get there, share the videos, and then also like our page, and then drop a comment or two. Let's reach out to those comments and read them. It's sad what we're doing to ourselves in this country. So if I may take you back a few steps, you've been there before on the 5th of December to do a story. You went back on the 20th because the police said, well, per the first time you went there, this time around on the 20th, the people were there to do land reclamation, only for you to realize that they were still actively involved in Galamsey. Am I right?
I haven't mentioned land reclamation in my narration because we are talking about what happened, what led to the attack on myself. So what I had said earlier is the fact that my story, the expose, was aired on TV on 5th December. I started working on this story earlier than 5th December. So I had gathered a lot of information, enough evidence about the activities and operations of these miners. So, David, back to the question as to how come I got attacked. After we went to the last point when I said the illegal miners had escaped with their equipment switched on and all that, then a call came through, probably from the officers who were in charge, were in custody of those who were picked at the entrance, that the illegal miners have erected, 2 barriers, and they were regrouping. Their numbers are increasing. So the police team had to return from where we were and drove all the way to the entrance. And we came and met this large group of, illegal miners, their security personnel, who at that time, when we entered, we saw a few of them. Their numbers had increased, and they were agitating for the release of those who have been arrested by police. And they also said they will not allow the team to leave the mining site. There, whilst they were agitating, then police asked that some of us, especially the civilians who were with them, I saw a bus, another bus. So the 2 buses contained police officers, myself and my camera technician, so I'll say journalists, and then some men I was told were excavator operators and mechanics who were going to assist in tracking the equipment, the excavators that they will seize at the mining site to the police station. Then the police asked that we remain seated in the bus whilst they deal with the situation. So we're in the bus. Then we realized that the numbers kept increasing. We saw additional security men arriving. This time around, those that we met were in military camouflage, but we saw the next line of security also dressed in military camouflage, and you could see some of them dressed in the same way as we witnessed during the Ayawaso West War, people that were described as national security operatives. Some of them were in the same dress, the same uniform. So they came, and that was when the situation became so dire, because they demanded that for the safety of the police team, including the media and all those involved, there were things that they were demanding. First, police has to release the guns seized from the illegal miners and their security. 2, they also demanded the release of all those arrested and handcuffed. Then 3, they also demanded the camera of the Joynews team and the footages, so we should hand them over. So we're in the bus, so we probably didn't know what was happening. Then a policeman walked to acts in the bars to say that the people say they want to see the footages that we have taken. So if we don't do this, they will not allow us to leave the mining site premises. So then the policeman said, "You give me the camera. I promise I'll bring the camera back to you." So he collected the camera. It was in the interest of the entire team, and secondly, because it was coming from police, then police collected the camera, and that was then. We didn't see the camera. We didn't hear of the camera again. So then when the policeman left, we thought that they were dealing with the situation. And whilst you are on the bus, you could see people very angry, showing signs and gestures all over. Then somebody came and started deflating the tires of the bus. Then immediately they threw a stone and hit the driver's side of the bus, which also hit the driver. So the driver was first hit by a stone. Then we realized we were in a very murky situation, David. So whilst in there, they started throwing stones all over. And one of the stones hit a gentleman at the back of the bus. And then it was my turn. So I had my share of this stone. It hit my head. And that is when I started bleeding profusely, as well as the first gentleman who was hit by this stone. By that time, the numbers of the security operations at the mine had increased. It has gone even beyond the police numbers. Now police had to negotiate the safety passage of the team. Then I saw the assemblyman of Ayuyefutu, someone I had interviewed on 2nd December at the premises, just around the bus, shouting on top of his voice that he has spoken to the district police commander at Yinahini, and the commander tells him that the police, he has no knowledge about operations of the police team from Kumasi, and that the team were just armed robbers who had come to steal from the mining site. This perhaps, increased the agitations more, and more they started throwing stones. So at that point, I became so alarmed. I was bleeding on the back. Then I saw a gentleman I know is a unit committee member, because on the 2nd December, when I interviewed the assemblyman, this gentleman was there. The assemblyman introduced them as unit committee members. So I saw him and then signaled him that, with the Joynews logo and all that. He saw me and said, he felt so worried. I was, injured in the process. So he opened the gate and said I should come. He would take me out. And I told him my camera technician is also in there. Can you also assist him? So they had to pull the camera technician from the window of the bus. And then he asked that we followed him. I remember vividly that while following the assemblyman, I was shouting, "Me and Semtroni, me and Joynews CV, me police before, me police me and all that." There, they started throwing stones at us. And the unit committee member also had to shout on top of his voice when the people moved towards us that me a unit committee me, then they were still coming. Then another stone threw from the crowd landed on the upper left side of my chest, which sent me to the ground. That is when the people started, attacking me with machete, David. And at that point, the unit committee member had left me because he was also, he feared for his life. And there was nothing I could do. I kept shouting, "May I Joynews TV with my Joynews jacket on." At that time, I had even turned the jacket with the inscription, the bigger inscription that you can see up there. It was on, showing the way of these attackers, but they continue, attacking me with machete. Some threw stones at me, and then I was still shouting. Whilst down there, I was still shouting. Then I saw some of them ransacking my pocket. So they took my 2 mobile phones, and then they also took money. I had 5,200 Ghana cedis on me, and on that morning, money that I withdrew from the bank, because I had wanted to use the money for few other things. I thought that because we're going early in the morning, we'll come back early, so I can continue, working on few other things for myself and then the family. Whilst bleeding, they were still, attacking me. Luckily enough, I can't recall vividly what made them made them leave me in that situation. Then I gathered all the strength and then entered a waiting police pickup, so it could send us to safety. So when I joined the police pickup, that was the intention of the unit committee member. The plan was that a vehicle has been made available, so we could join. So when I joined the pickup, I remember 2 motorbikes did follow us. All these they were throwing stones on us. And then the people on board the motorbike were shouting, "Yeah, the Omoko police station. Yeah, the Omoko police station. We are taking them to police station." Perhaps this is what saved us. If not, the people would have continued the attack on us. So on the way, I realized for the first barricade that they had mounted, there was another one right at the entrance of the community. So in this case, they had 3 barricades, all in the name of preventing us from leaving the site. So David, I will say that it was God who saved him, because I remember how these people attacked me with machete. But later on, when the police pickup brought us to Adobera Junction, I was still bleeding profusely. I checked and realized that the machete did not slash me, but I could see the mark of the machete cut through my trousers. All these marks were there, and that is why I have always been saying that I was saved by divine intervention. Because looking at these stoutly built men holding machetes and attacking me with the aim of killing me, and none of these machetes could cut me, then I say it's a divine intervention that saved me, David.
I have a few questions for you, and I'm going to put 3 questions at you. But before then, I'd like our viewers to also still stay with us or join us on Facebook on Love in the Morning and get to see the talks that Ohemeng is talking about. Per the numbers I can see, even on the screen here, I can see about 7 or even more well-built, men, holding proper guns, holding, axes and stuff like that. I mean, if you join us on Facebook, Love in the Morning, you get to see what we're talking about. Very terrifying scenes, trust me. Very terrifying scenes. And listen, this is Ghana. Our job as reporters or journalists is to bring to you the news from out there. And this is a man who went out there to do his job, and this is what he had to suffer for. Please join us on Love in the Morning on Facebook and see what we're discussing, describing, and talking about. Ohemeng, 3 questions. First of all, you talked about the fact that at a point in time, the district police commander had said that he had no wind of information that the police officers whom you joined at the regional headquarters were coming to Yinehin. That's the first thing I want to understand. How come the district commander there said what he said? Number 2, when you were being assaulted with the machetes and all those other weapons, where were the police you went with? Were they themselves being attacked? Were they looking on unconcerned? Where were they? And 3, have you made a report, and has there been any arrests?
Okay, David, let me answer the questions in that order. Yes, personally, I didn't hear from the police commander, but this was a reported speech. supposedly from the assemblyman, who was all over the place on top of his voice, shouting that the police commander says he has no idea of the police operations and that he, as a district commander, is not in the know. And because of this, the team were armed robbers. So these were the words of the assembly member. I am not the only person who heard him. Then, secondly, as to the other question, David.
The question was, when you were being assaulted, where were the police in which you went with?
Yes. Police at that time were very busy trying to bring the situation under control. I would say they were very busy because I saw them very, very busy, moving up and down. I would say their intention at first was to protect the vehicles that we went to site with, and also all of us on board. So they thought that they'll be able to bring the situation under control. But David, I would say the police team was overwhelmed. The police team was overwhelmed by the fact that the Galamseyers had 3 lines of security. The first line was those that we met aside. The second line was the first reinforcement that they brought. And then the third one, they brought another second reinforcement. All these, reinforcements or enforcements were led by men that you could hear their names all over the place. They were mentioning their names all over. They were mentioning names like Commander Adu. They were mentioning names like W.O. And they were mentioning names, Alasa. They were all there. So as a journalist, I picked all this information. To the question as to whether we have lodged a complaint, yes. We've lodged a complaint with the regional CID. There I was told a docket has already been opened and an investigator is on that particular case. So I had to give a statement, and then that of the camera technician will also have to give a statement. All of us have given statements to police. And I remember the last time I met a senior police officer in his office, he called the investigator and told him to follow up on all the names that we have mentioned in our statements. And he said some people, notable persons, can easily be traced. That those were his words, and that the police were going to work on this. So I will say that yes, we have already given statements to police. So we hope that police will continue with the investigations and give us positive feedback.
All right. So a few more questions, Ohemeng Tawiah. Has any arrest been made? I mean, you have already made a report to the police. Per the pictures and the videos that you've shared that we are showing on Facebook on Love in the Morning, you can see the faces of the perpetrators. These gun-wielding, weapon-wielding people, whether the guns are registered, they have license to carry them or not, I don't know. But their faces are there. Wearing uniforms they are not supposed to wear. Have any arrests been made? And you talk about your camera, you talk about your mobile phone, you talk about money. What has happened to them? Have you gotten back your camera, your money, your 5,200 or so you mentioned, plus your 2 phones?
Not at all. All the items I mentioned, plus my power bank, Carlos Bluetooth, my backpack that also contained my ID card, and the notebook are nowhere to be found. I have never recovered any of these items. And as to whether anyone has been arrested, as I sit at the hospital here, I can't tell that anybody has been arrested. This question probably will have to be answered by the police, because it's been a while that I went to the police station. Now I'm concentrating more on taking care of myself because the attack has taken a toll on me. I suffered head injuries, chest injuries, and also, twisted 2 of my fingers. Beyond that, I had cuts all over my body. And if you see the dresses that I wore on that day, it should tell you the kind of ordeal that I went through. If you see how, my singlet is soaked in blood, not even to talk about the shirt that I wore on that day. I've gone through a lot. And now I've been advised to stay home and take good care of myself, because the more I move around, the more it also hurts me. Initially, I thought maybe I could get over this within some few days, but it appears to be a Herculean task taking care of myself after these attacks. So, David, maybe we have to contact the police for police to tell us if anybody has been arrested in connection with these attacks on us. But with all the items that we lost, we've lost them. The camera, my phones, and everything. I tried to check online to see if I could use some of these modern ways to track my phone. I realized even 3 days after the incident, my LG phone was still on. And you call, nobody will pick. But they recount vividly that these phones were picked for my phone. They ransacked my phone, my pocket, and took the phones. And I've seen where, for instance, tracking the phone, where the phone has been. It's just unfortunate that I still don't have these phones and the items that I lost in the attack. But I can tell you, David, I have information. I know who and who are behind all these mining operations. We are just hoping and still counting on God that when the time comes, we will surely cross the bridge.
Ohemeng, I have a question again, because I asked that question earlier and I didn't get an answer. I don't know for what reason why. I'm going to ask that same question again. But before I do that, listeners, join us on Facebook. Listen, in some other countries, certain things began slowly. And instead of us nibbling them in the bud, we did not. We did crocodile jump, pampering people up until a stage where it escalated and has gotten out of hand. In this country called Ghana, God has blessed us with all the natural resources every country will yearn for. It is vested in the hands of leaders, especially one leader, the president, per the constitution. All the minerals under the ground is vested in the hands of the president of the Republic of Ghana. The former government, Nana Addo Dankwa, who told us that he was prepared to put his presidency on the line to fight Galamsey, you and I know the outcome. I would say very disappointing. Very, very disappointing. Now we have young, well-built men who are brave, confident, bold enough to wield machetes, wield axes, hold guns. Whether the guns are registered or not, I can't tell. Whether they've been trained to use these guns, I can't tell. But all we hear oftentimes is that national security, national security, national security. Elsewhere, when you mention national security, there are specialized areas of people who have been trained to man them. But here in Ghana, I thank God for holding my mouth. If I let me say, any idiot who says he belongs to a certain party would go into a certain whatever, put on whatever uniform, grab a gun, jump into a vehicle, and say he's national security. On Monday, when we were talking about the Guta guys, I talked about people who were at the ports, who say they are from national security, and they are thwarting the work of workers there, and extorting money from people. If you join us on Facebook, please do. These guys are, some of them are wearing jeans. They have pierced their ears, both ears. Some of them have one piercing. They have pierced their noses. They are wearing. Listen, join us on Facebook on Love in the Morning, and see what I'm talking about.
David.
And we'll be doing this lackadaisical approach of tackling the problem. By the time we say Jack, it will explode in our faces. And yet, we stand in the sun, vote people into offices, people whose job it is to ensure that Ghana does well. Let me hold on to the question. Eugene wants to pass a comment.
Senior, I want to confirm the district commander there. Is he one Jerry Ameka, the former commander for Agogo area?
Yes, Mr. Ameka is the district commander for Yinehini.
Okay, David, you see, I'm reliably informed about certain information. The Ghana Police Service must call that commander. The DC for the area is a Kofi Mafo, the former DC for the area, must also be called. He is the head of RECSEC. And there's the DISEC. There's some connivance between the two of them. And that assembly member who did what he did, they must all be questioned. You cannot assault someone's father to this level. They will look at the jacket, the jacket, as if he's coming from Sierra Leone or Rwanda, a war-torn country. And look at the gentleman holding all sorts of guns, weapons.
And these people, they are under.
And in fact, I'm also told that chiefs are part of it.
They are under all sorts of influences, from weed to you name what drug you can imagine. And so their faculties are not working the way it ought to. And yet we have one country called Ghana. We have people who've entrusted the country to run. Listen, this new government, I'm hoping, will not let some of these things slide. We all know what happened to Rasus and his drone pilot and the cameraman. We were told that some people were picked up. Where have we gotten to with prosecution? Has anybody been punished to serve as a deterrent?
So how?
Where are they? The same thing.
So how different is this from Boko Haram? That we dread so much.
That is what I was saying.
That
is how I was saying that when the thing starts slowly, we don't nip it in the bud.
It's like this.
Because Dave, you see, when you listen to Ohemeng's narration carefully, David, everybody should come to Facebook. Look at the kind of military uniforms that they are wearing. Who is funding them?
All they need is one central power to control them.
You see,
and then the security forces cannot do anything.
You see, for these young men, and some of them are covered their face, but I see some of them are also showing their faces.
Oh yeah,
it means that
they are daring and bold enough.
Exactly, it means that they are very sure that
but in Rasus's case, or say you're buying a wasso, they are bold and confident in what they are doing. And if you're a politician, you are encouraging this nonsense. What do you say?
If you look at them, just look at them, young men. Just look at them. Look at what. You see.
You're on radio, please. Listen. Sometimes we're also human beings, so we're sitting here and we talk. But Charlie, we are human beings first. Sometimes we know the codes under which we work with, the ethics we work with. But some of these things we should.
Because David, you see, the DC for the area, the reason I'm saying that there's a connivance between Jerry Ameka, and David, we know his track record at Agogo. Some of us know. How is it that the district commander didn't know this is happening, or he claims he doesn't know of an operation?
But let's even say, let's say, he's right. These are men from a service, police service. They've come on an operation. Let's say you didn't even know about it. What do you do?
Then you allegedly tell them as some robbers.
What you do is you speak to your HQ, get more details, and you give them support. They are policemen in uniform. So give them support, and if later you realize that they are armed robbers or whatever, or do something contrary, then you act. But you don't just comment. If what Assemblyman said and what Ohemeng Tawiah is sharing with us is true, that what you are not aware, and even if you are not aware, Galamsey activities is happening at your backyard.
David, it tells you about the kind of intelligence the two of them, as the commander for the area and the head of DISEC, are engaging in, because you cannot tell me that when Otumfuo has publicly said that this thing should stop, the president said Galamsey should stop. What they are doing, and David, nobody does illegal mining and employ these hoodlums and tax to protect the activity. Nobody do that.
So we are running out of time. So what next for you,
David? Listening to the conversation in the studio, I say that you're trying to do justice, but this is an assemblyman who on December 2 has told me that he wasn't aware or has not been to the illegal mining site, and that he had seen some miners in town, and when he confronted them, They told him they have the necessary documentation from government to plant trees. Then I asked him, were they planting trees with excavators that you see moving to the forest? Then he told me he will go there and verify. But meanwhile, the mining site is just a stone throw, just like moving from our office to KNUST Junction, Tech Junction. It's not even up to that level, that point. So if you listen to me carefully, there's collaboration all along this way. So if you ask me what is next, the next line will be to get healthy. Now, when we have the strength, we have a lot to say. We have stories to tell our audience about the operations of these illegal miners, who are behind them, who are benefiting, and who are involved. We have a dossier on them, and we promise our audience that they should stay tuned for more on this story.
Ohemeng, before you go, I just want to ask this question. I have read your report on the one that you did for the 5th of December one. That was before the elections. And I read, a condemnation from some CSOs who are asking for the end of Galamsey and justice for you. But the documents these people often show to say that, well, they're going to mine or they're going to do land reclamation and all that. And I'm saying that I've read your story for the 1st of December. Question I want to ask is, the documentation, can you authenticate whether it's true? Whose signature is under the documents?
So in the course of the investigations, I met or I saw two documents. One that the Forestry Commission officials describe as false. Because if you look at the content and how it is structured, everybody, as Forestry Commission says, it is false. And they say is a entry permit granted by the acting CEO of Forestry Commission, John Alote. Meanwhile, as at the time the letter was written, there was nothing like acting CEO. So Forestry Commission says that one is false. Then I have another letter, another entry permit, signed on the 5th November by the Forestry Commission official with Mr. Brown's name under it. So we have two documents in our possession whilst investigating this. And so at the back of our mind, we knew who were involved. And like I mentioned earlier, there's more to this story. Already when the story came up yesterday, there had been some reaction, some response from a company that has been mandated by the Forestry Commission, tasked giving entry permit to embark on reclamation exercise in this area. They have denied their involvement in this whole illegal mining operations, but they also mentioned another company as being involved in this illegal mining. Like I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of information in our hands, and we are going to piece all these information together and feed our audience so we know who is lying, who is telling the truth, and probably who is not even involved. So let's give ourselves some time. And for me, we are ready to assist police, and that is how come we first give our statements to police to enable or help police in their investigations. So for now, I want to plead with you that this is what we have. But if you want to go further, we may need about 2 hours to discuss all the details in this operation, David.
Ohemeng, thank you very much. And at this point in time, what I would say is, Charlie, get well fast and stay safe as well. All right? God be with you. And listen, for our listeners out there, the kind of job we do, the occasions where you have some conversations, and then at the end of the day, you receive some threatening messages, you receive some threatening calls, and what they do is they withhold their numbers. there's a feature on your phone that you can access where when somebody calls you, it comes as unknown and stuff like that. And then they threaten you. And then because of the way some of our political leaders, for their own selfish gains, they encourage people, finance people, and then they come threatening you physically. They come attacking you sometimes. I mean, physically, not even through a phone or something. They come to you face to face and they threaten you. And because as a nation we're not punishing people, we're not prosecuting well enough, we're not punishing people well enough, we embolden them to be doing these things. I ask again, what happened to Erastus Asaridonko when himself, his drone pilot, his cameraman and co were attacked? What has happened to that story? Several months now, what has happened? And then this very fresh one, what is going to happen? Listeners, I think we can spend some 5 minutes or so to hear from you. You can call us, let's just speak very few calls. 03220-83596, 03220-83597, and 03220-83598. Just call us and share your views on all that you've heard so far. The activities of the Galamsey operators, the fact that they are wielding guns, wielding machetes, having axes and other weapons on them, ready, prepared to use them. And as a nation or a country, we're not seeing it as a serious threat to our very existence. We're allowing this to fester. What do you have to say about all this? And permit me to say all this nonsense. Christoph, good morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning, my brother. I hope you're fine.
We're well.
This is very worrying and disturbing, irritating. You know that. Even the last time, it was Erastus Asaridonko. This time around, it's our own brother Ohemeng. I mean, who is next? David, when you're in a country where selfishness, parochial interest, personal aggrandizement has eaten into our social fiber, this is what you see. David, just yesterday in Congo, 3 Chinese guys were sentenced 7 years imprisonment for engaging in illegal mining. In fact, they found in their possession $400,000 cash and gold bars. And this amount and the gold bars have been confiscated to the state. And these 3 Chinese guys are going to jail for 7 years. Can't we do same here? David, the top hierarchy who are to fight it, they are rather benefiting. So how can we fight it? So you see people who want to genuinely protect our environment, stop people from doing those things, and then they are attacked. And who knows? If not God who intervenes, some of them might even be killed. So I think that now we have a new president, and I know that measures are going to be put in place to make sure that before you can mine, it should be proper mining. Because we can't allow few people to siphon and destroy our environment. Ghana is for all of us.
Thank you, Christoph, for your comments there. You can also call us on 03220-83597, 03220-83596, and 03220-83598. Let's speak to Kofi Bedu. Good morning, Kofi.
Hi, Leo.
Yeah, I'm hi. What's up? Let's hear you.
Yeah, my good friend. There was a shiver on my spine when I heard that there is an assault at Ohemeng Tawiah. I know Ohemeng Tawiah also very well, but you see, you know where my shivering of my spine was? I asked myself, what did it happen under Mahama? Then, while the story was going on, I heard him say that the police team were overpowered by the NPP tax. And I said, thank God that it did not happen under Mahama. So the date is also very important. Please let us know, because we are not going to allow anybody to put impediment on the way of Mahama. When Mahama is going to reset this country, my good friend, what is the name of the owner of the site? That also has to be known. What is the name of this assembly member? It has to be known. And what is the name of this district commander? Because when NBC start to deal with some of these people, I don't want anybody, any well-meaning Ghanaian, to speak ill of NBC, because we are not going to allow some of these things to happen, to fester. The media man, going to this place not to work for himself, not that he's selfish, but he's going to make sure that things are done rightly. So what is the meaning of all this? So the date is important. Let us know.
Thank you very much, Kofi Bedu. I think the coming days, what this administration will do or the actions that will be taken will let us know. So, political thinker.
Yeah. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning. Let's hear you, sir.
Yeah. I don't understand Ghana, so we are going to sit down for our wells to run dry before we miss our water. In fact, the laws are so porous that then we will not even go anywhere. I went to Bogoso last week, Coffee River. People were mining in the middle of the river on the roadside. They were mining not at the banks of the river, but in the middle of the river. So, and if you move like a few meters, a police were there stopping cars. They don't care about it. So in this country, everybody is now thinking about his or her own pocket. So even this fight, I am not sure the government can calm it down, because it is becoming more unbearable, and I feel no one cares anything again. God save Ghana.
Thank you, political thinker. The next on the line is Malik. You can also call us on 03220-83596, 03220-83597, and 03220-83598. Malik, let's hear you, sir.
Good morning, bro.
Yeah, good morning.
We have new government in, but the old government structure is still in place. So Mahama has to dismantle that structure. If not, you fail. Brother,
Leo.
This is a test case for Mahama. I want you to put pressure on him. You should collaborate with your brothers at Accra and put pressure on the president to act. For those who committed those crimes against the state and the journalists, should be paid. You should let them go free. No way. They have to pay for crimes that they've committed for so many years. They have to be punished.
Well, thank you very much, Malik. Thank you very much. And you know what? Attach wood. So if any of our journalists is attacked and the person dies, is that when the state will take action? Or is that what is going to make them happy? The fact that this is happening like this, listen, I think we need to find time, maybe Monday or there, but then talk more, because there's so much we